All right, so this is exciting stuff. We are at the last lesson of the last module, which is self awareness as a way to happiness. So let's read the quote. These are the characteristics of the rational soul: self awareness, self examination, and self determination. It reaps its own harvest, it succeeds in its own purpose. Marcus Aurelius. So, like we talked about rational thinking, we talked about uh, being more rational in daily life. What does it mean? Ultimately, it comes down to self-awareness, self-examination, self-determination, the self, right? That's what it's about. Okay, so in this lesson, we will understand the importance of self-awareness, learn how to develop self-awareness, and reflect on personal strengths and some areas for growth. So I think that personal or that self-awareness is um, the tool that you really want if you want to be self-sufficient. And we, in the beginning of this course, we talked about the framework and the system that you want in stoicism uh, to adopt so that you can be self-sufficient and that you can apply it to any type of situation or anything that happens in life, no matter what it is. So you'll always be able to adapt your ideas to the situation that you have in life so you can be your own mentor or trainer, coach, etc. And I think that's the most self-sufficient and most satisfying way to live, when you can solve your own problems. So what is self-awareness? It's recognizing our thoughts, emotions, and actions. It's developing inner strength and resilience, relying on yourself, um, and continuously growing and improving ourselves. So as I said, it's really a focus on the self, and not in a selfish way, but in a positive way, where you think to yourself, okay, change starts from within. If I can improve myself, become self-aware, um, I can make a contribution to other people around me. Because if I don't have that, how can I help others if I can't help myself? So developing self-awareness is about the following things. Okay, if you want to improve your self awareness, engage in regular self reflection and introspection. And throughout this course, I've been constantly saying, "Oh, pull out your journal. Use uh, do gratitude journaling. Write about this exercise. Why? Because it's all about self awareness. The more you journal, the more you put your thoughts on paper, the more you will develop self awareness. Then number two, practice mindfulness to stay present and aware. So in Stoicism, there's no real mindfulness or meditation practice. The Stoics, the way that they m- managed the difficulties of life and the pressure of life was through thinking themselves out of situations using rational thinking. Now, in Eastern philosophy, the way to cope with stress and pressure was through shutting down thoughts. Right? So there's a difference, right? Eastern is about meditation, being aware, observing. Stoicism is about observing and then talking yourself out of it. Now, I my interpretation also is that I like mindfulness because it is a very helpful tool, and not necessarily, I'm not referring to meditation. Mindfulness is just being, like I said earlier, it's just being aware of the situation, being aware of your own thoughts, and always having that type of awareness through life, no matter what you do. Always thinking, okay, is this aligned with my principles? Is this aligned with my values? What does this lead to? Have that type of awareness as you go through life. And then finally, embrace adversity as an opportunity for growth and self-improvement. And you've seen this a few times throughout this course. Adversity is really an opportunity to grow. Every time life gets hard or life throws challenges at you, and that's basically what life is, right? It's one challenge after the other one. Never think, oh, like why is it so hard? Why do these things happen to me? Just see them as opportunities to train yourself. And that's really, I think, the only way to stay sane, because we can never reach a phase in life where everything is perfect. Even like a lot of people, they say, "Oh, only if I had more money." Yeah, then what would you do? You might maybe you will have more problems. You don't know. Maybe you have fewer, um, but you still will have problems. So eventually, not much will change. You'll still have to deal with the normal things in life, like loss and injury and death and sickness. Those are the things that are part of being a human being. How do you deal with those things? Okay, Stoicism helps us. It gives us a framework. And if you embrace adversity as an opportunity to train yourself and to get better, you always have something to do. A while ago, my mother and my brother and I were visiting family acquaintance, and they were talking about like uh, old age problems, like you know the problems that we all get from aging. My mother and our acquaintance were talking about it, and they were saying, "Oh, I have that one, I have that problem, I have that problem," and they were both kind of talking about the things that they have in common in terms of uh, problems and aging and those type of things, uh, injuries and sickness, you name it. Um, and the guy was like, he said, look at it this way. If we didn't have those things, what would we do? Just sit in our room and look at the wall. If everything was perfect, then we didn't have anything to talk about or didn't have anything to do, right? And he was kind of turning it into a joke, and people were laughing because it's also true, right? Because it keeps us active, and obviously we prefer to not have those things. We can always do something, but he had a point where he was saying, look, it's a part of life. These things happen. Instead of saying that it's bad and why is this happening, embrace it as something that keeps you busy, right? And I think that's ultimately the goal of Stoic philosophy as well, is that you create a lifestyle for yourself that helps you to move forward no matter what the circumstances are. And that brings us to the last exercise of the course, and it is called Implement the Stoic Way. And the Stoic Way is what I refer to as a Stoic lifestyle. I like it's like I call this the Stoic Way, the Stoic way of living. And if you want to implement the Stoic Way, number one, start with reflecting on your personal strengths. Consider how Stoic principles have contributed to them. Think about how Stoic principles have or will um, make you personally stronger, right? How you be able to deal with adversity better, with tough situations at work, or be able to be happier around your family, etc. And then identify some areas in your life where you'd like to grow or improve, and consider how Stoic practices can support your development, whether it's the health area, whether it's wealth or happiness in general. And then create a plan to integrate Stoic practices into your daily routine to ultimately enhance self awareness And if you create that plan and start living by the Stoic way of life, you will notice yourself just making everything that we talked about, or any type of Stoic principle that you might learn about, automatic. And that is really the Stoic way. Is when you notice that everything happens automatically, you don't have to pull out meditations or a manual for living from Epictetus with a lot of great guidance, or other books or courses, etc. When you deal with things in life that are hard, when you experience setbacks or hardship, and you notice that you can rely on yourself, and you look within and you think, okay, what would a Stoic do? Well, how would a Stoic respond to this? And then you do it. That's all you need. You don't need anything else. And okay, you keep training yourself, you keep reminding yourself, keep learning, you keep reading, and that's how you get smarter and better. But at least you'll have the Stoic way. You have the foundation, you have the basis, you have the basics, you master those, and then doesn't matter what happens, you'll be able to deal with it. You'll go from one challenge, one obstacle to the other, you know, and you'll do it with dignity. You'll do it with self respect. You go through life, and all of a sudden you wake up and you don't feel anxiety anymore. And I guarantee you, and no matter where you are in life, and you think to yourself, oh, that sounds like a fantasy. I've been through that process, and I went from extremely fearful and anxious to having those things, having those qualities, and being and operating and living from a place with more mental tranquility, mental peace, self awareness. All these things, they happen, right? And now I include everything in the Stoic way, and one of the reasons that I've been, you know, writing articles and books and doing these courses is because I've seen the benefits in my life, and I feel like I'm obligated to spread the message because it has changed me so much that I feel like almost indebted to the philosophy itself, where it's like, wow, this is so amazing, it's so helpful, but also to other people where I say it might help, right? So I hope you enjoyed this. And throughout this course, we talked about a lot of different types of scenarios and situations and areas where you could use Stoic principles. And in my book, The Stoic Path to Wealth, I really focused on the wealth area, how you can become a better investor, how you can set yourself up for a financially solid and good retirement. In this course, we talked about health, we talked about happiness. Include all of these things. Learn as much as you can, and create your own version of it, create your own interpretation of it, and start living according to those things. And um, you'll be surprised by the amount of benefits you will see over a longer time. Give it some time. It won't happen in 1 or 2 weeks or a few months, over years. Just like the power of compounding when it comes to investing, these ideas also compound in your mind. Eventually you'll become a super strong stoic. And even, even if you don't view yourself as a stoic, it's fine. We don't have to label ourselves, as long as you see the benefits, and that is the most important thing. So once again, I hope you enjoyed this. Feel free to let me know if you have any questions, and please stay in touch.